Have you ever reached that moment when your body wants to stop, your mind screams to give up, and yet something deep inside whispers that you cannot quit here? That inner battle is the place where your future is decided. Not in the easy moments, not when the road is smooth, but in the breaking points, when every step feels heavier than the last, and every excuse to stop sounds more convincing than the reason to keep going. In that exact moment, your life is being shaped. What you choose to do when you feel drained, tired, and hopeless is what will separate you from everyone who settles for less. Think about the dreams you carry inside, the ones that wake you at night, the ones you tell no one about because they feel so fragile, so far away. They are not built in the comfort zone. They are not built in the first mile when your energy is fresh. They are built when you feel like collapsing, but push one more step anyway. They are built when you stare at failure in the face and say, not yet, I'm not done. Every person you admire, every story of success you've ever heard, has this one thing in common. They refuse to stop when the voice of doubt tried to take over. You see, your mind is designed to protect you. It warns you when you are pushing too hard, but often it mistakes discomfort for danger, and discomfort is where growth lives. Science shows us that resilience, persistence, and grit are not fixed traits. They are muscles built in the fire of challenge, strengthened each time you refuse to surrender. The harder it feels, the stronger the imprint it leaves on your identity. Every small victory, every time you carry yourself past the point you thought was impossible, you are rewriting your story. You are proving to yourself that you are capable of far more than you believed. And that is why you cannot give up now. Because the reward waiting for you is not just the goal itself. It is the person you become along the way, the strength you never thought you had, the courage that inspires others who are silently fighting their own battles, the resilience that echoes through every area of your life. When you keep going despite the pain, you become unstoppable. You set in motion a force inside you that no failure, no rejection, no setback can silence. So stay here, stay with me until the end of this message. Because if you have ever doubted your strength, if you have ever questioned whether you are capable of more, this is your proof. Not because I say so, but because deep down you know it's true. You wouldn't still be here listening if you didn't feel the fire burning, even under the weight of exhaustion. This moment is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your transformation. Keep going and you will discover the power that has been inside you all along. When the weight feels unbearable, when your chest tightens and your thoughts start racing with all the reasons why it's easier to stop, that is the exact moment you must dig deeper. Because what feels like the end is rarely the end. It is your mind testing your limits, questioning how badly you truly want the life you say you dream of. Every human being has a breaking point, but the truth is that point is always further than we believe. The body can endure more. The mind can stretch further. The spirit can rise higher. What limits you is not the challenge in front of you, but the belief that you cannot handle it. Every breakthrough in history has been born from someone standing on the edge of giving up, yet choosing not to. They discovered a secret that can change your life. Pain is temporary, but surrender makes it permanent. The discomfort you feel today will fade, but the regret of quitting will echo for years. Quitting teaches your brain that giving up is an option, that the easiest way out is acceptable. But pushing forward rewires you. It builds evidence that you are someone who follows through, someone who honors your word, someone who fights for what matters. That identity is priceless because once you claim it, no obstacle can steal it from you. It is not enough to want success. Everyone wants it. Desire alone does nothing unless it is backed by action in the hardest moments. What changes your life is the discipline to continue when motivation has vanished, when excitement has dried up, when nobody is clapping for you. That is when champions are made. That is when you separate yourself from the masses who settle for good enough. And here's the truth. The more you walk through the fire, the less it burns you. What once felt unbearable becomes familiar. What once made you tremble becomes the ground you stand firmly on. That is resilience, and it is forged, not gifted. So when your mind says stop, when your legs feel heavy, when your heart feels like it's breaking, remind yourself why you began. Close your eyes for a moment and see the version of yourself you are fighting to become. See the freedom, the strength, the pride in their eyes. That future self is waiting for you, cheering for you, begging you not to stop here, because every step you take now is carving the path that leads straight to them. This is why you cannot give in to the voice of doubt. That voice is not truth, it is fear. And fear is a liar. Fear wants you to stay where it is safe, where nothing changes, where your dreams remain distant shadows. But you were not built to live in shadows. You were built to create light, to rise, to push, to keep going until the vision in your heart becomes a reality under your feet. Every second you refuse to quit, you are moving closer to that life. Hold on. Push forward. Force yourself to keep going, because on the other side of this struggle is the version of you that you were always meant to become. The truth is, most people never discover how strong they really are because they quit too soon. They stop the moment the pressure builds, the moment the path feels uncertain, the moment the outcome isn't guaranteed. But greatness has never lived in certainty. It has always lived in the unknown, in the places where doubt tries to suffocate you and where fear whispers that you are not enough. If you want to rise above average, you must be willing to walk straight into those places and stay there longer than anyone else. Because every second you hold on while others let go, you gain an edge that cannot be taken from you. Think about how your mind works when you face resistance. The first instinct is to retreat, to protect yourself from discomfort. This is survival programming built into your DNA. But survival is not the same as living. Survival keeps you breathing, but it does not let you soar. To live fully, you must train yourself to lean into discomfort instead of running from it. Each time you do, you are expanding the boundaries of what you can handle. The human brain adapts quickly. What once terrified you can become your new normal if you refuse to back down. That is how transformation happens. Not in sudden leaps, but in repeated acts of courage when everything inside you says to stop. And here lies the secret few want to admit. The path to anything worthwhile will break you down before it builds you up. It will test your patience, your strength, your faith in yourself. It will strip away the easy layers until only the core remains. But that core is unshakable. That core is the part of you that knows you are capable of more than your circumstances, more than your excuses, more than the limits others place on you. The breaking is not there to destroy you. It is there to reveal you. So when you are standing in the middle of struggle, remember this: the pain you feel is not punishment. It is preparation. It is preparing you for the weight of the life you are asking for. If you want to carry bigger dreams, you must build stronger shoulders. If you want to reach higher places, you must be grounded in deeper roots. Every challenge you endure is strengthening you for what's ahead. What feels unbearable today will be the exact strength you need tomorrow. Do not let temporary suffering convince you to abandon a permanent vision. The road will hurt, yes. You will fall, yes. But nothing worth keeping has ever come without a cost. And the cost you pay today is nothing compared to the life waiting for you if you refuse to surrender. Imagine yourself years from now, looking back at this exact moment. You will either remember it as the day you gave up or the day you decided that nothing could stop you. That choice is in your hands right now. Do not waste it. Stand taller, dig deeper, force yourself to keep moving. Because this is not just about reaching a goal. It is about becoming someone who cannot be broken. Strength is not built in the moment of victory, but in the countless moments when you want to quit, yet choose to rise instead. Every time you push through exhaustion, you are not only moving closer to your dream, you are rewriting the definition of who you are. You stop being someone who merely hopes and start becoming someone who acts, someone who endures, someone who refuses to let weakness dictate their destiny. And that shift, that silent transformation is far more powerful than any external achievement. Because once you see yourself as unbreakable, no challenge can ever reduce you to who you were before. The resistance you feel right now is not a wall meant to block you. It is a gate meant to test you. Gates do not open for those who casually approach. They open for those who demand passage with everything they have inside. Every drop of sweat, every late night, every sacrifice is a knock on that gate, louder and louder, until eventually it must swing open. And when it does, you will understand why you were tested so hard. You will see that the version of you who began this journey could not have handled what lies beyond. You needed the fire. You needed the pressure. You needed the moments when you questioned if you could survive, because they turned you into someone who could not only survive, but thrive. The mind will always search for the easy path, the shortcut, the escape. But ease does not create excellence. Ease creates comfort, and comfort kills growth. The greatest danger is not failure. It is settling into a life that never stretched you, never challenged you, never demanded your very best. That quiet despair of unrealized potential is what breaks people far more than exhaustion or effort ever could. And you are not here to live small. You are not here to be half alive. You are here to squeeze every ounce of possibility out of the short time you have on this earth. That means refusing to let the feeling of struggle dictate your choices. Look at your own life and ask yourself, how many times have you stopped right before the breakthrough? How many times did you walk away just one push too soon? The truth is, you may never know how close you were, but what you can know is this: if you refuse to quit now, if you force yourself to keep going when it feels unbearable, you guarantee that you will reach the other side. Because the only real failure is walking away before the fight is finished. So take a breath and remind yourself this struggle is proof that you are in the process of transformation. The pain you feel is evidence that you are growing. The exhaustion is proof that you are stretching your limits. Do not misinterpret it as a signal to stop. See it for what it really is, a sign that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Hold on. Keep pressing forward. The life you dream of is waiting, but it will not wait forever. You must claim it now with relentless persistence, with unshakable will, with the decision that nothing will make you quit. The battle you are fighting right now is not only against fatigue, doubt, or circumstance. The real battle is against the version of yourself that wants to remain the same. That part of you that clings to safety, that resists change, that whispers it's easier to stop than to keep pushing. You must understand this truth. Growth requires the death of the old self. Every time you push past your limits, you bury the weakness that once held you captive. Every step forward is a step away from the person who settled, the person who accepted less, the person who gave in when things got hard. And with each step, a new self rises, stronger, sharper, more unstoppable. It's not supposed to feel easy. Transformation is violent in its nature. It tears away comfort. It shatters illusions. It rips apart old beliefs that no longer serve you. That is why it hurts. That is why it feels unbearable. But if you can survive the tearing, you will be reborn into a strength you didn't know existed. That pain is not punishment. It is a sign of creation. Just as a muscle must tear to grow, your spirit must endure, struggle to expand. Without resistance, you remain the same. With resistance, you evolve. Most people think success is about talent, luck, or timing, but the truth is, the greatest force behind every success story is persistence. Not flashy, not glamorous, not easy, just raw persistence. The refusal to quit, the refusal to bow down to fear, the refusal to let exhaustion write the ending of their story. Persistence is the ultimate power because it transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. If you simply refuse to stop, life has no choice but to yield to you. Think about that for a moment. Every mountain can be climbed if you keep walking. Every storm will pass if you keep moving. Every wall will crumble if you keep striking. The problem is not that life is too hard. The problem is that most people stop too soon. They expect the journey to be smooth, and when it isn't, they call it failure. But the journey is not supposed to be smooth. It is supposed to test you, to stretch you, to prepare you. If it feels impossible, it means you are on the right path. So the question is not whether you can handle this moment. The question is whether you will decide to. Will you rise when everything inside begs you to fall? Will you choose strength when weakness feels easier? Will you keep going when stopping seems safer? That choice defines everything, and the power to make it lies in your hands right now. Take this struggle and wear it as proof that you are alive, that you are growing, that you are fighting for something greater than comfort. Do not let pain trick you into quitting. Use it as fuel. Use it as a signal that you are becoming unstoppable, because you are not just chasing a dream. You are building a self that cannot be broken, a self that will look back one day and know without doubt, I kept going when it mattered most. Every dream worth chasing demands a price, and the price is always paid in persistence. You cannot purchase success with half efforts or part-time dedication. It requires everything: your energy, your patience, your courage, your willingness to endure long after the excitement has disappeared. And this is where so many people fall short. They want the reward but resist the grind. They crave the outcome but flee the process. Yet the process is the very thing that shapes you into the kind of person who can hold the reward without losing it. The struggle you feel is not a barrier. It is the training ground. It is carving out the strength you will need to sustain the life you are building. Think about the way pressure turns coal into diamonds. Without the weight, the heat, and the crushing force, coal would remain nothing more than ordinary. It is only under unbearable intensity that transformation occurs. You are no different. Without the pressure you are facing, without the discomfort that feels endless, you would remain untouched, unchanged, untested. But you are not meant to stay ordinary. You are meant to endure the fire until your true brilliance is revealed. And if you can withstand this season, you will emerge unrecognizable to the person who once doubted themselves. Your mind will always try to bargain with you. It will say, rest now, stop now, you've done enough. It will try to convince you that slowing down or giving up is the rational choice. But this voice is not truth. It is fear disguising itself as logic. It is the part of you that wants to return to safety, to the familiar patterns that kept you from growing. If you obey it, you reinforce the chains that hold you back. If you resist it, if you push past its lies, you teach yourself a new truth, that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. And that is the greatest gift persistence offers. It is not only about achieving the goal, it is about discovering what you are truly made of. When you force yourself to keep going, you uncover strength that had been hidden. You uncover courage that had been asleep. You uncover potential that would have remained buried if you had chosen comfort instead. And once you see this power in yourself, you can never go back. You will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will carry yourself with a fire that no one can extinguish, because you will know beyond any doubt that nothing can break you. So let this struggle remind you of who you are becoming. Let the exhaustion sharpen you instead of weaken you. Let the setbacks fuel your hunger instead of crushing your hope. Every obstacle is an invitation to prove that you are greater than the limits you once believed in. Every step you take while tired, every push you make while afraid, every choice you make to continue when you could have quit is a victory in itself. And those victories build upon each other until one day you realize you have become unstoppable. You are no longer the person who stops when it gets hard. You are the person who rises, always rises, no matter what stands in the way. There is a moment in every struggle when the noise inside your head becomes louder than the world around you. The doubts, the fears, the endless what-ifs swirl like a storm, telling you that you cannot go further. This is where most people fall, not because they lack strength, but because they mistake the storm for truth. They believe the thoughts instead of challenging them. But you must understand this: your mind is not a dictator, it is a tool, and tools are meant to be controlled, not obeyed. The voice that tells you to stop is not the voice of your destiny. It is the voice of your limits, and limits are meant to be broken. Every time you override that voice, every time you choose action over surrender, you rewire your brain. Neuroscience shows that persistence is not just willpower, it is training your mind to create new pathways, new habits, new defaults. When you push through resistance, you are literally building a brain that is stronger, more resilient, more capable. You are sculpting your future self at the biological level. What feels like suffering in the moment is actually construction, laying down the foundation of a mind that will no longer collapse under pressure. This is why quitting is so dangerous. Every time you stop when things get hard, you reinforce weakness. You teach your brain that surrender is the safest option, and your brain learns quickly. But every time you persist, no matter how small the step, you teach your brain that you can endure, that you can rise, that you can push beyond what once felt impossible. Over time, that becomes your new identity, someone who cannot be broken, someone who keeps going no matter what. An identity is the most powerful force in human behavior. You will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. So make persistence who you are, not just something you occasionally do. It will not always be glamorous. In fact, most of the time it won't be. Persistence often looks like quiet repetition, unseen effort, hours of struggle with no applause. But this is the soil where greatness grows. The world may not notice your effort today, but it will notice the results tomorrow. And when that day comes, the same people who doubted you will call you unstoppable, not realizing that what truly made you unstoppable was the decision to keep going when no one was watching. So when the storm of doubt rises again, stand firm. Remind yourself that those thoughts are not reality. They are resistance. Resistance is proof that you are close to breakthrough. The closer you get to transformation, the louder it becomes. but it cannot stop you unless you give it permission. Refuse to grant it that power. Dig into the strength you've been building. Remember that every second you endure is another brick laid in the foundation of your unshakable self. Keep going, even when your legs tremble, even when your chest burns, even when your mind screams for rest. Keep going, because every push forward is a declaration: I'm not who I used to be. I'm stronger. I'm fiercer. I'm unstoppable. Every second you continue when it would be easier to quit, you are declaring that your life will not be ruled by weakness. You are proving to yourself that you have the courage to step beyond temporary pain in pursuit of permanent strength. This is how legends are made, not through one dramatic moment, but through countless small decisions to keep moving when everything inside screams to stop. The person who keeps going, even when exhausted, becomes untouchable. Because once you master yourself, nothing outside of you can break you. You must realize that pain and struggle are not signals of failure. They are signals of progress. They are evidence that you are on the battlefield of growth, fighting for the life you were meant to live. Comfort is the real enemy. Comfort disguises itself as peace, but it is actually stagnation. It whispers that you've done enough, that you should settle here, that you don't need to push any further. But comfort never delivers fulfillment. It only delivers regret, because deep down you know you left more inside you unused. To break free from that trap, you must make discomfort your ally. You must learn to see the burn, the sweat, the struggle, not as punishment, but as proof that you are alive and advancing. And this is where resilience is born. Resilience is not about never feeling tired or never experiencing doubt. It is about feeling all of it and continuing anyway. It is about standing in the fire and refusing to step back. It is about carrying the weight and refusing to drop it. Resilience is built in silence, in the unseen moments when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, when it is just you and the choice to keep going. Those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments that build a foundation so strong that no setback can shake it. Every challenge you face right now is shaping you into someone greater. Every obstacle is an invitation to rise. Every failure is an opportunity to sharpen your resolve. The process may be brutal, but the result is beauty. The more you endure, the more unshakable you become. And once you know you cannot be broken, you are free. Free to dream bigger, free to take greater risks, free to live without fear, because you know that no matter what comes, you will not stop. So embrace this struggle. See it as the fire forging your strength. Refuse to see it as a wall, and start seeing it as a doorway to the life you dream of, a doorway to the person you are becoming. Every time you step forward, even if it's small, even if it's messy, you are walking through that doorway. And soon you will find yourself standing in a place you once thought was impossible to reach, all because you refused to quit, all because you forced yourself to keep going when it mattered most. The breakthrough you are chasing is closer than you think, but most will never see it because they surrender too early. The path feels endless, the struggle feels overwhelming, and they assume nothing will change. But transformation often happens in silence, beneath the surface, in ways you cannot yet see. Just because you cannot feel progress does not mean it isn't happening. Growth is rarely visible in the moment, yet every ounce of effort compounds, stacking silently until suddenly it erupts into undeniable results. That is why you cannot stop now, because the next step could be the step that shifts everything. Your mind wants evidence before it commits. It wants certainty, guarantees, proof that the effort will pay off. But life does not give guarantees, it gives opportunities. It offers a simple bargain. Keep going, and you will discover how far you can go. Stop, and you will never know. That is the cruel truth. You may be one decision away from the life you've been chasing, and the only way to find out is to keep pressing forward. The greatest enemy of persistence is not exhaustion, it is doubt. Exhaustion can be overcome with rest, but doubt, if you allow it to grow, will convince you that rest should become permanent, that quitting is easier than trying again. Doubt is poison to dreams, and the only antidote is action. Every time you move forward, despite uncertainty, you starve doubt of its power. You prove to yourself that belief is not a requirement for progress, movement is. The more you move, the more belief grows. Action creates confidence, and confidence creates momentum, and momentum is everything. Once you generate it, it becomes harder to stop than to continue. That is why the hardest step is always the one taken when nothing seems to be working. But that single act of persistence can shift the entire trajectory of your journey. The resistance you feel today will become the force that carries you tomorrow. The wall you're pushing against will eventually crack, and when it does, the flood of progress will be unstoppable. So ask yourself right now, what will define you? The temporary relief of quitting or the permanent pride of pushing through? Because the choice you make in moments like these echoes far beyond today. It sets a pattern. It sets a standard. It sets a tone for your entire life. If you quit here, you teach yourself to always quit when it gets hard. But if you keep going, you set in motion an identity that will carry you through every future battle. You will know without question that you can handle whatever life throws at you because you proved it here. Do not let doubt write the ending of your story. Let persistence write it. Let strength write it. Let resilience write it. Keep pushing even when the results are invisible, even when progress feels slow, even when hope feels fragile. Because on the other side of this invisible fight is visible transformation. And that transformation will not just change what you achieve, it will change who you are forever. The mind will always tempt you to believe that stopping is harmless, that pausing your fight does not matter. But every time you walk away in defeat, you are not just losing progress. You are teaching yourself that surrender is acceptable. You are building a habit of retreat, and habits create identity. That is why you must resist the pull of quitting with everything inside you. Because the moment you decide that you will not stop no matter what, you reshape who you are at the deepest level. You go from being someone who tries to someone who finishes, from someone who hopes to someone who creates, from someone who dreams to someone who lives those dreams in reality. There is immense psychological power in consistency. Each act of persistence is a vote for the person you are becoming. The brain thrives on patterns, and what you repeat becomes automatic. When you choose to keep going despite exhaustion, you hardwire resilience into your nervous system. Over time, it no longer feels extraordinary to endure, it becomes natural. That is the point where nothing can stop you, because persistence has become who you are, not just what you do. Imagine the freedom of living with that identity. Never again enslaved by doubt, never again paralyzed by fear, never again betrayed by your own excuses. But freedom does not come cheap. It demands that you sacrifice comfort, that you silence the easy path, that you stare down the voice that tells you to rest before the work is done. Every time you refuse to obey that voice, you weaken it. Every time you act in spite of it, you strip it of power. Eventually, it grows so faint that you can barely hear it. And what remains is strength, clarity, conviction. That is why the fight you are in right now matters so much more than you realize. It is not only about reaching this one goal, it is about silencing the voice of limitation for the rest of your life. So lean into the resistance. See it for what it truly is. Proof that you are moving forward, proof that you are evolving, proof that you are alive with purpose. If it feels heavy, it is because you are carrying something worth lifting. If it feels difficult, it is because you are standing on ground that most will never dare to touch. That weight is shaping you into a warrior. That struggle is sharpening you into a weapon. That pain is sculpting you into the version of yourself you always knew existed, but had never met until now. Do not give up on this moment. Do not let the temptation of ease rob you of greatness. Push forward. Even if all you can manage is one step, that single step carries infinite power. Because it proves that you are stronger than weakness, stronger than fear, stronger than every reason to stop. Collect those steps, one by one, and they will take you to places you once thought impossible. Keep pressing, keep rising, keep fighting. Because you are not here to surrender, you are here to win. Every great transformation begins in silence, in the hidden battles no one else can see. The world often applauds the outcome, but never understands the price paid to reach it. They see the success, but not the nights you wanted to quit, the mornings you dragged yourself forward with nothing but sheer willpower. But you know the fire you walked through, you know the weight you carried when no one was watching. And that knowledge is more valuable than applause because it means you earned every inch of your progress. It means nothing was handed to you. It means you became unshakable in the process of refusing to stop. There is a deep truth in psychology. What you repeatedly overcome becomes part of your identity. Every challenge conquered rewires your belief system. Every hardship endured strengthens the image you hold of yourself. That is why you must keep going even when it feels unbearable. Because you are not only chasing a goal, you are building a self-image of power. Once you see yourself as relentless, Once you believe that you are the kind of person who never quits, the world cannot take that away from you. You will act in alignment with that belief for the rest of your life. But if you quit, you hand away that power. You reinforce the idea that your limits define you, that your fears control you, that your weakness is stronger than your will. And once you allow that story to take root, it poisons everything. Quitting once makes it easier to quit again. The pattern grows until it becomes the default response to every challenge. That is how dreams die, not with a dramatic collapse, but with a quiet series of small surrenders. You cannot allow that to be your story. You must choose the harder path now so that your future self lives free from regret. Regret is heavier than exhaustion. It lingers longer than pain. Pain fades, but regret festers. It whispers endlessly, reminding you of the moments you could have gone further but chose not to. That is why you must rise today. That is why you must continue when your body wants to give up. Because regret is far more destructive than struggle. Struggle builds you. Regret breaks you. And only you can decide which one you will carry. So feel the burn in your muscles. Feel the doubt in your mind. Feel the weight of every obstacle pressing down. And then refuse to stop. Refuse to surrender. Refuse to let this moment slip into regret. Every second you fight forward is a victory. Every breath you take in defiance of weakness is proof that you are alive with purpose. You are not here to exist halfway. You are here to live fully, to rise completely, to become the person you always knew you could be. Keep going, push harder, stand taller. Do not stop until you have nothing left to give, and then give more. Because what you discover beyond this breaking point will change you forever. You will look back and realize this was the moment you became unstoppable. Strength is not built in comfort. It is forged in the moments when your entire being screams at you to stop, yet you take one more step forward. That step is where transformation begins. Not in the easy days, not in the victories handed to you without effort, but in the unseen battles where you decide to keep moving, even though everything feels impossible. This is where the future is written, in the choices no one claps for, in the private decisions that define whether you rise or remain the same. Your mind is a battlefield, and every thought you allow to stay becomes a soldier fighting either for your greatness or against it. When you say to yourself, I can't, you give power to your enemy. When you whisper, I will try once more, you take the ground back. Over time, those tiny victories accumulate into unshakable belief. That is the essence of resilience, not ignoring fear or doubt, but confronting them until they no longer hold authority over you. Psychologists call this process cognitive reappraisal, the ability to take what feels unbearable and reframe it into a test of growth. Pain becomes proof of progress. Setbacks become training for the future. Struggle becomes evidence of strength. The more you reframe, the stronger you become. And once your mind accepts that challenges are not walls but doors, you stop fearing difficulty and start seeking it. Because you realize that growth hides inside the very moments you once tried to escape. Every dream requires sacrifice, and the bigger the dream, the greater the sacrifice demanded. You must decide whether you want comfort now or pride later, because you cannot have both. Comfort is temporary, but pride lasts forever. The day will come when you look back at this exact season of your life and see it as the turning point. You will remember the nights of exhaustion, the mornings of doubt, and the voice inside telling you to quit, and you will feel overwhelming. Gratitude that you did not listen, that you chose pain over regret, that you kept moving when it would have been easier to stop. Imagine the person you could become if you simply refused to give up. Imagine the strength in your eyes, the power in your voice, the unshakable confidence in your step. That person is not a fantasy. That person is waiting for you on the other side of persistence. They already exist, but you must fight through the fire to meet them. And every time you push forward, when you want to quit, you walk closer to them. Every moment you conquer weakness, you prove that version of yourself is real. Do not waste your life bowing to comfort, because comfort never made anyone extraordinary. Choose the fire, choose the climb, choose the path that scares you, that stretches you, that dares you to become more than you are. And when you do, you will discover a strength you never imagined. Not because life got easier, but because you became stronger. And that strength will follow you into everything you touch. There comes a moment when the pressure feels unbearable, when your lungs burn, your muscles tremble, and your mind pleads for relief. This is the threshold where most people stop. but this threshold is also the doorway to transformation. Beyond it lies the version of you that cannot be broken. Beyond it lies the life you have been chasing. The pain you feel in those moments is not a signal to quit. It is proof that you are alive, proof that you are stretching into a greater version of yourself. The body screams because it has never been pushed this far. The mind resists because it fears the unknown. Yet it is only by crossing that threshold that you discover what you are truly capable of. Your potential is not measured by what you can do when things are easy. It is measured by what you can still do when every part of you wants to stop. Anyone can move forward when the path is smooth, but few have the courage to keep climbing when the mountain becomes steep. That is why breakthroughs are rare. That is why greatness is scarce, because only a handful of people are willing to keep going when the majority surrender. And if you choose to be that person, you place yourself in a category so small, so powerful, that the world cannot ignore you. The mind adapts through stress. It is wired to grow only when challenged. Neuroscience proves that the brain rewires itself during discomfort, creating stronger connections and more resilience. That means every time you refuse to quit, you are literally reshaping your mind to be stronger, sharper, more capable of enduring the next trial. What feels like struggle is actually the process of evolution. You are not breaking. You are rebuilding. You are not falling apart. You are forming the foundation for the life you desire. But you must decide to trust this process. You must accept that the fire you feel is not your enemy. It is the forge. It is the place where weakness burns away and strength is born. The longer you remain in that fire, the more refined you become. And while others run from the heat, you will remain. You will endure. You will transform into someone they cannot recognize, someone who inspires them, someone who proves what persistence can do. Every day you wake up, you have two choices: to give in to the voice of comfort or to rise with the voice of courage. And the voice you listen to shapes everything. If you choose comfort, you repeat the cycle of mediocrity. If you choose courage, you begin the journey toward a life that leaves a mark. The choice is not easy, but it is simple. One path leads to regret. The other leads to greatness. So when the threshold comes again, and it will, remember this truth: the pain you feel is temporary. The pride you gain will last forever. Push through it. Do not surrender. Do not stop. Because the very moment you think you have nothing left is often the exact moment you are about to discover your power. Most people never realize how close they are to breakthrough when they stop. They imagine the finish line is miles away, when in reality, it often waits just beyond the moment they chose to give up. Success does not always announce itself with clear signs. It hides behind resistance, behind fatigue, behind the wall of doubt that convinces you it is pointless to continue. But if you can push one step further when everything tells you it is over, you often find the door cracks open. You see the glimpse of possibility that was invisible only seconds earlier. That is the secret of progress. It reveals itself only to those who refuse to stop. Your struggle today is not meaningless. It is building something invisible inside you, a strength you cannot yet measure. The effort you put in is never wasted, even if results do not come instantly. Research shows that persistence rewires not just your brain, but your emotional resilience. Every act of consistency lowers the grip of fear and raises your tolerance for challenge. You are training your nervous system to remain calm under pressure, to stay focused under stress, to keep moving when others collapse. This training cannot be seen, but it will surface when life tests you again. And in that moment, you will realize why you had to endure this season. There is a law of life that cannot be broken. What you sow, you will eventually reap. Every bit of energy, every ounce of sacrifice, every painful repetition plants a seed. You may not see it sprout today. You may not see it next week, but deep underground, roots are forming. Strength is growing. The harvest is coming. The only way you can lose it is if you stop watering those seeds. The only way you forfeit the reward is if you walk away too soon. And that is why you must keep going. Because your future self is waiting to enjoy the harvest you are planting right now. Quitting may seem to bring relief, but it is an illusion. What feels like escape only chains you to regret. And regret is heavier than any struggle you are facing now. It does not fade with time. It lingers. It asks, what if? Until the day you die. That is why you must fight harder now. You are not only fighting for today, you are fighting to silence regret before it ever has a chance to speak. Imagine standing years from now, looking back at this moment. Will you be proud that you pressed on, or will you ache because you know you stopped too soon? The decision you make now will decide that future. Choose wisely, choose strength, choose to endure, because the person you are becoming is worth every ounce of struggle, every tear shed, every battle fought.